welcome to the Digital Rabbi podcast with yours truly, Sat Solanki, and just here to help you, church leaders, creatives, talk about things that are happening in 2022, help navigate the world of creativity, and just generally have some helpful conversations. And today I am with none other than Lucy Hubbard. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well, actually. It was funny, wasn't it? Because kind of pre-podcast, we were just chatting. It was like, there's a lot to talk about before we even get into the podcast.
I know, we could have just talked forever.
So, Lucy, you're in London, in southwest, would you say? West?
Yeah, west. I'm in Chiswick, yep.
Okay, all right, okay. Just strong West London. You're leading the church, See-Through London. Amazing. Yep. You're also a business owner. Mm-hmm. You're going home broke, correct?
That's it. That's the one.
And you've got this massive, artist, music, history, career. I just think you're going to be a very interesting person to have on the podcast. So thanks for coming on.
Yeah, you're welcome. I hope that it's helpful and interesting. I hope I'm interesting.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the business. How did it come about? What is it? And tell us a bit of the story.
Okay, so Going Home Broke, that is what it's called. So in mid-2019, if anyone actually watching this that knows me, knows that I love to travel. And so I obviously love traveling. In 2019, I got a text from Amy Alsop, who is a friend of mine, and she sent me like a travel site, and she was like, you should do something like this. And I was thinking like, I don't know, I don't really want to do something like that. But it kind of stuck with me, and I started to think about it, and it just developed and became this kind of, I don't know, like a bit of a dream. And then it was weird actually how it just came about. And so I thought, you know what, I do just love doing this, and I'm just going to make this for me, not for,
right. It was just for fun.
It was just meant to be for fun. And obviously I take a lot of photos, and I, obviously, travel a lot, right? So it was like a place to kind of keep everything.
Right.
So a website where I can, write where I went, what I loved, and just do all these things. And so, end of 2019, I was building the website. I had friends helping me. I was kind of editing all the photos and getting the folders ready of the countries and the places. And then, and then I launched it in January 2020. And then COVID hit, and even though it was obviously just meant to be for me, I think I hoped that it would help people and they could read it and, obviously experience similar things on their travels. But travel was over.
Travel was done.
It was done. And obviously my other job at the time was music, and that was also kind of done. So it was like the two things that I was, I guess looking forward to, or that I loved, had kind of stopped. So Going Home Broke then just became weirdly something I put even more energy into because I had a lot of time. And so I built the website, and I started, really using Instagram, and then honestly, the rest feels like history, but it's come a really long way in the last 2 years in a pandemic.
That's bonkers, isn't it? Like, because you wouldn't have necessarily chosen to focus on this, but out of kind of, I guess, just being restricted, really.
Yeah.
Something quite amazing has come out of it. And have you always been into photography? Like that wasn't something I knew you did until all these photos are popping up. I'm like, these are amazing.
Yeah. So actually, weirdly, when I was thinking about this the other day, when I was maybe 13, 14, I used to go to a lot of concerts. So obviously my love for music was pretty big, but I actually wanted to be a concert photographer. That was like that's what I wanted to do. And I used to take my horrible digital camera, like these rubbish cameras. And I used to line up I was like the person who got there at like 11 a.m. until the doors opened. And then I was right at the front. But I actually only ever got there to take photos. Not even to obviously I loved going and listening to the music, but the whole point for me was actually getting like a great photo. And so I think I always loved it. and I've always taken photos on my travels. I take too many, and I just really enjoy it. But it wasn't until I guess going home broke started to form that I thought I'm actually going to get a real camera,
Yeah,
and
right.
and the rest from there really has developed quite quickly.
So,
Like I'm still learning about files and how to edit, let alone all the things that photographers actually know.
so because you just said you just got a proper camera, right? Or recently. So
Yeah.
what was everything taking on before? I mean, obviously old school
Yeah.
point and shoot digital. Was it just all on your phone?
It's all the iPhone. Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's terrible, but it is what it is. There's nothing I can do now. I wish I could go back, but I can't.
That's so good. I feel like, Lucy, all those iPhone adverts, like, well, around
Yeah.
Shoreditch, when it's like these massive, amazing photos. It's like shot on the iPhone. I feel like that's what your photos. It's that sort of ilk. It's amazing.
Yep. So that's kind of how the photography then started to progress. But yeah, even thinking about that now is crazy. Like I got my first proper camera August 2020.
Wow. Because it feels to me like the whole digital space, and just like for creatives to have an avenue to connect to an audience is like it's so accessible now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, like you just said
Amazing.
casually, I was just making a website. Like, I don't know, are you a website person? But like, it just feels like all of these tools and these things are so accessible for young entrepreneurs to just try stuff.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's just been a complete fluke, a complete accident in how you've ended up kind of where you are? Yeah,
I do. I think, I feel, I mean, I really feel like I found something that I love. I obviously I loved music, but I don't believe that also wasn't that was for a season. Like it wasn't for nothing. And I will always have music. Like I can write a song and release a song whenever I want. So no one is taking that away from me. This doesn't mean that it's over. It just is a change of direction, and the world changed at the same time. So I think it's pretty natural that, this has kind of happened. But I just can't believe where it's at, and also like how far it's come in such a horrible time. But what I did realize was, like, I think travel became emotional for people.
Yes, it did.
And I think actually that's what potentially helped it grow a bit. But at the same time, it gave me more of a real vision for it, or a purpose. Because it actually mattered. Like, instead of it just being a blog where I can store my pictures and my favorite coffee shops, it became actually just something deeper that people actually are looking for. And I couldn't have predicted that would ever happen, but I don't think it would be what it is without the pandemic. So, and it's nice to have one great thing out of the pandemic, because it hasn't been that simple.
No, of course. Wow, that's amazing. And you've got this whole idea of like beauty, in travel, haven't you? And really, your photos, that's what they're capturing is beautiful moments, beautiful places. Like how important? Because I think I've just been on a real journey of like, beauty takes a lot of work. So if we bring it into the church context for a moment, like creating spaces that are beautiful, creating experiences that are beautiful. Like there is something, I think, was it Henry Cloud who said something about like beauty is healing, like it heals trauma. And it's such a big thing, but it's like, man, it takes so much effort and energy to do it. Do you feel like this is just maybe just a little piece of how you're, just helping people, making the world a little bit more beautiful?
Yeah, I think, and this is what I've occasionally said on like Instagram, or when I'm talking to people who follow the account, that I think what happened for me personally was when I got the camera and when I was allowed to travel again, or even just being in London, like it didn't matter. It was like my outlet and my, like, finally my way of actually creating during the pandemic, because like taking photos of beautiful things and beautiful places and people and was just quite healing for me. So it is relatively selfish in the fact that it was good for me. But it's funny how at the same time, while I'm sharing these with other people, I'm also reaping these benefits. And I think that's just what I love about creativity, is that most of the time it is for you because we're all creative, but I'm able to be in a position to share it with others, and for some reason they love it, and that brings me joy too. So
yeah.
And I think, so capturing beautiful places, and I think too, like, obviously I take photos of hotels and like stuff like that, but really what I'm always looking for is natural beauty. Do you mean? I think architecture is awesome because people created it. I think that's amazing. But yeah, there's something to be said about the world, and every culture is different, every place is different. And I just like being able to share more of that with people. So there's more perspective, there's understanding, do you know what I mean? And maybe there's even respect for other cultures and other places. There's a whole lot of stuff. Yeah, I mean, I could talk forever about it. Yeah.
I love that, Lucy.
I won't.
It's like there's this beautiful sort of correlation between like something that is in you in terms of desire and just something that you love that has connected with where people are. Like, I kind of feel like maybe that's how God sets it up, right? Like there's stuff on the inside of us, dreams, or just stuff we want to see or stuff that we want to fulfill. And that's on the inside of us, because when we do that, when we create those things and when we put ourselves out there a little bit, that will connect with somebody, because there's like almost an equal sort of, almost like, like magnets, there's just that's the way the world is wired, isn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely. Because I think a lot of people have a lot of dreams in the heart. And I think being a church leader, it can be really difficult, right? Because there's a lot of things to focus on. Well, just full stop. But there's a lot of, from a creative point of view, to find, this creativity within the church. And then there's other threads to your life as well. How have you managed to balance having both of those and not getting swallowed into just one or the other? Because some people are just very creative outside of the church and they're almost a bit too disconnected. And some of us are just so in the church that we don't ever, tap into stuff outside of it. I think that's really hard. I think for me personally, like, obviously I love church and I love our people. I love everything about it. But there's being a pastor or being a leader is something that I find incredibly unrelatable to people, because actually it's quite a unique role. Yes.
Like not everyone is in this role, and not everyone is doing what you're doing. So for me, like, going home broke and any work that I do or anything that I am creating and making makes me feel like relatable. And so for me, it's essential that I keep my feet in both, because they actually belong together. It's just that over the years, I don't know why and I don't know how, it feels like it's one or the other. And it's definitely hard. I do feel the pull, sometimes it's like you can feel bad because you're spending a lot of time on your job or your, the business. But actually, I think all of our people love it. They respect it. They ask about it, and I can ask about their job. And do you know what I mean? Like, it's just I find it helps me in my role.
Yes.
And I've always thought creativity is super important in both areas. But I also think that being creative and letting that be okay and letting that be allowed encourages it in our church.
Yes, I'm with you, because you're modeling it. You're modeling it as an example, so people are going to
And I know not every pastor is interested in that. Like, that's okay too. Do you know what I mean? But they can model. They model what they love and what they're interested in. And so for me, it's not one or the other. It will never. I cannot make that decision.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I just won't.
That's brilliant. That's so good, Lucy. And I love it. I feel like there is just culturally, maybe it's because of the pandemic now, but there's just a new sense of celebration of hobbies and rest and doing stuff just for fun, you know?
Yeah.
Just enjoying stuff, enjoying
Huge.
life. Like God created, and then he said, it's good. And then he rested and he enjoyed. So I think that's such a great model.
That's, the rest thing is a huge deal. And the going home broke, I use a scripture in Ecclesiastes, but it's like, don't let your soul go hungry. And it's kind of saying, I'm pretty sure it's I can't even like read it to you without, hold on, I'm gonna look it up because it's worth saying. Yeah, it's even if someone lived 1,000 years, make it 2,000, but didn't enjoy anything, what's the point? Doesn't everyone end up in the same place? And then it says, we work to feed our appetites, meanwhile our souls go hungry.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, that's been the scripture, that's been the idea behind going home broke, and just life now. You know, it's like, it's okay to enjoy your life.
Yes.
Like, I think we've underestimated that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that in itself, we could end the podcast now, Lucy. We're not going to. We're going to keep going.
Okay,
that is such a profound thought, because I think for a lot of leaders, they do carry that weight of it's all or nothing. I've got to give everything, and to create that space to enjoy and margin. It's actually so releasing to people to even hear you say that.
Yeah, that's the thing is, it's I hope. Yeah, I feel like I know I'm right. You know what I mean? Like, I really believe this. Like, I don't just, I'm not just reading what I want to read. I believe this, and I believe this is what maybe some people are missing. But at the same time, because of culture and because of, you know, there is always that pull that says, is this right? Are we allowed to enjoy our lives? Or, and, you know, I get it. Like, we travel a lot. So people will be like, oh, you're always traveling. Like, one person said to us, like, oh, you're so cool, you're about to take on the church. Like, say goodbye to traveling. And I was like, why? Why does that automatically mean that I can no longer enjoy my life and do the things that I love?
So good.
I just, no. Like, and it shouldn't be at the detriment of the church, and it won't be. But I don't know, just don't get it.
I mean, even on a just on a purely practical level, which is not how we view everything, but all of my best ideas come when I'm doing something non-related. All of my best preaching, all of my best insight is just found in somewhere else. So it just on that basis alone. But so much beyond that, of course, God's just heart for us, isn't it? So I love that, Lucy. Let's switch gears slightly. I want to ask you about PR, because you've had some good PR from what I can see going home broke. I
don't know.
Just help us understand, right? Because this might be from your background in music that you've probably accrued some some wisdom in this area. But I think for me, as a kind of digital marketer, I kind of get that side of it, but like PR is just like, I just got no idea. So just help us, because I think this is something that church leaders should probably learn a little bit about. It could be a really helpful thing for the church.
Definitely. So for me, it's really all about Instagram. That has been, especially for going home broke, but through that is how kind of Elle magazine has come about, which is probably some of the PR you're referring to. So our photography and our words were featured in 3 separate issues in 2021.
So good.
Yeah, it was it was just so cool. And hopefully we do more in the future. So we're kind of pitching and seeing what happens. So that kind of came about through Instagram, and honestly, everything comes through Instagram for me. Everything.
To explain that for us. What do you mean?
So obviously there's posting and building a following and all these different things that, you know, there's lots of tricks and like how you do that. But for me, it's making friendships on there.
That's a great tip.
And it's actually crazy because I have had many Zoom calls. I've had coffees now with people I met on Instagram. And we have working relationship now and our friendships, and this is how all my business has come about. My website's out there, my SEO is good, so I have high Google ranking and these kinds of tricks as well. But Instagram is it. I don't use Facebook for it. I don't use Twitter. I don't use TikTok because I don't have the time, because I do everything myself. And so that has been, that's really where it comes from.
Wow. I love what you said there about relationship building, because I think that's the thing that it gets very sort of missed. It's like putting out great content, need to get likes, saves, interactions, engagement, but like the whole point of like sale, if you like, or the point where the real opportunities open is the DMs, isn't it? Where you're actually having a conversation. And definitely I can echo that. How have you started those conversations? Like, did people reach out to you? Did you, can you go a bit more micro on it? Yeah.
Okay. So sometimes they'll reach out to me, but if anyone sends me a message, I will tend to actually reply authentically and actually take the time. I sometimes will look at their page because it depends, like they might also be into travel photography. And so what I'll do is, I honestly, it's encouragement. I will message someone and say, thank you so much, reply or answer the question. But if, they're doing something great, or I can see who they are in a way, and you encourage them. So I find a lot of what I do, especially with people I've built relationship with, is just tell them how great they are and what they're doing, and really getting what they're trying to do. Like I know like wedding planners, and a girl who makes beautiful candle holders, and a girl that runs a travel website that's about to start, and like all these different relationships, a jewelry maker, like who I'm actually working for now. So it's like, but she has this like dream to make these beautiful pieces of jewelry and get them out into the world, and it's been really a long journey for her. And so my role is to be there and just say, you're doing such a good job and it looks amazing and this is going to be so good. And I mean it, I'm not I do mean it. So it's, but that does really build relationships, and it helps them. So it's not this, like, people look at social media as being just inauthentic and a bit of a joke and don't get too wrapped up in it. But I don't have an issue with social media, and therefore I can use it in a really healthy way. And that's how I build relationships. But I think encouragement is the number one thing.
That's awesome. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, because you're just talking about having genuine relationships, aren't you? And it does work, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You're just taking the skills that you use generally in life, in your interaction with the world.
It's real. It's not fake, and it's not cut. It's like not cut and paste either. It's like applying it to each unique person. And it's fun. Like it's not work for me. It's normal. So that's how I think social media is at its best. And using it for good. Yeah.
Love that. How do you feel that translates into the church in terms of, we don't need to get too critical, because I'm sure there's a million things we could say about what the church could do better on social media. But I'm curious, because I think it's not just about, like, I think sometimes we want strategy or like practical things, but sometimes it's more about the mindset of understanding where we're supposed to sit. What can you see that would be really helpful for maybe people listening today who maybe a little bit, they're kind of out and about, but wouldn't necessarily feel like I'm really mastering this right now?
Yeah. Do you mean specifically church leaders?
I think so. Yeah. Church leaders or social media managers or. Yeah,
I mean, firstly, I spend a lot of time on social media. So in order to get the results that I have, I spend a lot of time. And so you've already got that issue, because churches run on volunteers most of the time, and they don't have as much time as I do on social media to spend on social media. So I think the results are always going to be slightly different, because the time isn't there, nor it should be. Like they don't have to be spending all day doing it. And it's a very different, I don't know, it's really hard. I think putting out beautiful looking content is important to a degree, because I know not everyone can get that done. But I think Instagram is a first impression.
Yes.
It's the first impression.
Yeah.
And that has made it really important. I'm sorry to everyone who thinks it's not important, but it is. It really is. For a church, it's important. And like most people who have come to ours, they'll be like, oh, I found you on here. And then when I looked on Instagram, I thought, oh, yeah, I'd love to come, because they can see people their age. It's not just about the look. It's not about being cool. It's about showing people who you are. And so I do think it's, really important. And juggling it is tough when you have a whole lot of volunteers.
Of course.
Yeah. But, you'll find the right person. That's what I'd say. It's like, just don't give up on it. I think people give up on it and they're like, it's too hard. We don't have anyone.
It's not working. Let's just scrap it. Yeah.
Yeah. And have realistic goals. That's what I'd say. Like, post once a week,
That's awesome.
Post a picture from Sunday and talk about it. Like, put it in the caption. I just think start somewhere and then build from there. But it's pretty important.
Yeah. It's amazing, because I think for it's really funny, because in the last season, me personally, I've been very active in terms of business, social media, etc. But as a church, we've been very, very chilled. We're hardly posting anything because of exactly what you just said there, just our capacity. But we just put on a couple of, I think we just got a couple like really simple few clips of people just messing around on Sunday, hanging out, plug it in a reel. And sometimes these things just blow up. They're just, we're like, where are all these likes coming from? Where are all this interaction coming from? So it is amazing. Yeah, I think you're right. If you're just deliberate and focused, don't go crazy.
And I think
just do something.
It's got to serve your church. So it's if it's not serving your church, then don't stress about it. It's like it has to actually benefit your church. Otherwise, you could be spending that time on something more important. But I think if you have reasonable expectations and a clear mind about it, then you can get some really great results just by keeping it consistent and keeping it simple. And then when you find the right people, it can get better and better. It's like it. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't do any of our social media, which is amazing. We've got great people who do that. Great photographer, a whole bunch of them. So we have a photography team, and we gave the photography team to an amazing girl called Beck Quee, and she gets everyone on the photography team. So you don't know how to take photos, doesn't matter. You're on the photography team. And so she's been teaching them, and therefore we've got photos every week. So it's just, it just depends on the people you have. And I hope that kind of answers it. I think just take the pressure off, but also know it's important.
It's like both at the same time. Take the pressure.
If you can manage that, that'd be great.
Because it does really depend on your goals. I mean, one of the things I've really realized is social media is, and I suppose if you translate this into your business, it's been great about starting relationships. And then once you're in those relationships, they tend to probably move to a different platform or be offline as well. And I think I can really see that in the church, that we're often trying to reach the people who are already in the church, who are already connected in on Instagram. And actually, it's kind of better suited just to get people who might be new or, friends of friends and so on to get into the mix.
Well, you have that power, don't you? Like on social media, is that you can reach anybody. So although it's a means of communication for your church, you also then have this other level of it that's, you can do anything. And I think that scares people because it's we don't know what to do, or I'm too afraid to do it, or I think it's just that it's so open. But you can target people now, like you can pay and target people.
Right.
And it will come up on their feed. Someone talks about church over dinner and then it's on their Instagram, explore. So these things are really great. And I think there is just we just have to learn the balance, and have the people to kind of invest in it. But I think it's happening. I think it's just been a bit slow, and there's been other things that people are worried about and other things people are doing. But yeah. Yeah,
that's awesome, Lucy. Love it. What are you excited about seeing? Not so much within the church now, but just coming out of the church in terms of business, entrepreneurship. What are you excited about seeing in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh man, yeah. I already think it's changed significantly in church leadership, especially. Like, there's a lot of people doing a lot of great things, like not just working for church. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Some people actually have churches that require that amount of time. Yes. But obviously for us, our church is quite small, so it's okay, but yeah, more creativity, and especially just people just doing great things in their industry, and not feeling restricted to pursue them because of the church. Actually, that's the win right there, because
that is the win.
I think for a long time it's like, I can't do that because it's not right, or it doesn't look right, and I just think that's, I don't know. I've never understood that. Even being a musician, like, it's a tough job when your job is you. And I think you can be easily misunderstood as such because you're promoting yourself.
Yes.
But the platform and the position that brought me would create moments of influence that no one will ever know about or ever see. And that's why I do it. So I think that has been a difficult transition for people. And I hope that goes away.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, Lucy, well done. Because I think sounds like you've been ahead of the curve on some of these things and you've had revelation on this.
Yeah,
that you've thought this is what I believe, and I think the world is now catching up to go, hey, and the church is now catching up. What would you say? Just a couple of quick questions, then we'll close. How would you? I'm thinking, church leaders, we want to release creatives. We're battling that tension, so we do want to. How do we do that well? Or not even just creatives, but people who are like really got a specific calling in the world. How do we do that? How do we do that well? What are some things that maybe looking back for you think this would have been really helpful? If someone had said that, if someone had done that. What would you say?
You celebrate them. So know about what they're doing, like be interested in what they're doing, know about it, celebrate it. We actually publicly celebrate people in our church. We'll do it on a Sunday. This isn't always something you have to do. Obviously, we've got a small church and a small community, so it's great. I guess and encouragement. And I guess actually the other thing would be, if someone can't come on a Wednesday night or the Thursday night or the Friday night or the Saturday night, however many things you've got on, because they are busy and they're tired and they're working and they're pursuing, just don't worry about it. Just say, don't worry about it. I'll see you on Sunday, or I'll see you next week. And I think actually taking the pressure off people to attend and to be present as much as you are will make all the difference. They'll trust you, they'll want to be around you, and they'll feel respected and they'll feel loved and they'll be encouraged. And I think that's probably something that was hard for me. It was one or the other.
Yeah, I hear.
And I don't want that for our people, because if they want to serve, but they also want to pursue a career, like I can't punish people for that, and 99.9% of your church won't work for the church. No. You're not going to pay them. So you can't expect that of them. It's all got to be done in love. That's what I think. I hope we do it well. I don't know, but I hope that we do. Yeah. I hope people feel like that it's okay to have a sense of pursuing something that they love and making that their life.
Yes. Oh,
yeah.
There it is right there. So many great quotes, Lucy.
I hope that's okay.
That's amazing. I love it. I love it. Yeah, we've definitely been incorporating some of that and just paying attention.
Paying attention.
And in a city like London, there's a lot of pressures, a lot of stuff. So I think you just have to, there's some things that are different in a different city might be different, or in a different, like in the countryside, but I think, when you're in this environment, it really is in a big city.
Yeah.
People have moved to the city to pursue their dream.
Yes, exactly. And you know what? They're going to need a lot of support. So like we only know, right, in the London context. So it is different if you're listening and you're not in that kind of context, but a lot of people who are coming here to pursue work, they come to pursue work or they travel. Like it's kind of this, I mean, that's just expats, but there's a lot of people moving into London. It's not just Australians. Even though our church is like famously like an expat church, it's not anymore, but that's also okay because it's just London, But yeah, these people move and they've come into London and they want to do these things and they don't realize how hard it is, how tired they're going to be. And yeah, I think one of our main roles is to keep them in community and to keep them inspired and encouraged, and to know that they're loved and supported no matter what. That's it. It's very simple.
Love it, Lucy.
Yeah.
So good. Well, let's close. Anything else? Just any final thoughts? Anything else you just want to say?
So I just hope that was all okay, and I hope that's
Amazing. Where can people find you on social media and the business?
So Going Home Broke, Instagram @GoingHomeBroke, and the website's goinghomebroke.com, and that's it. Yeah.
Too good. Gosh, Lucy, thanks so much for being with us today, and thank you to all of our listeners being a part of this conversation. I hope you found it helpful and releasing, I think, just some of the pressure. Let's believe for just a huge wave of creativity coming out of the church, but not just staying in it, but going out into the world. I think this has been such a helpful conversation. So thanks for tuning in today to the Digital Rabbi podcast. You can follow all of the above and all that jazz, get connected, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for tuning in today.